While it is known as a single historic day on the beaches of Normandy to us, D-Day was a lot less simple than just a name in its known length. The Allied invasion of Normandy took a long 2 years to prepare for. After the defeat at Dunkirk in 1940, where Allied troops were evacuated from the French coast to England while Germany advanced, Winston Churchill began to draw plans for the greatest sea and aerial invasion ever. He would send 250,000 soldiers on 7,000 ships to carry out Operation Overlord, or the invasion of Normandy. The weather and chosen date of the invasion did not coincide. The storms led to crashes on the beach, miscalculations of bombings, ships crashing into rocks, and many other problems that hurt the US chances of invading Normandy. But in the end, the Allies won. We are going to take a deep dive into the real issues and plans around the devastating day on the invasion of Normandy. In the midsummer of 1943, a year before the invasion of Normandy, Hitler still had territory from his Blitzkrieg campaign and Russian conquests. The Russian counteroffensives against Germany in the Battle of Stalingrad and the Battle of Kursk helped push the perimeter of Hitler's attack. The Nazi war economy was better than all opposing forces except the US, which allowed them to have far more firepower. Stalin asked President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Winston Churchill to mount a second front in the West. This was completely impossible at the time because the US was still forming its army and was nowhere near prepared to engage in combat in Europe. Despite the small US army and the poor timing to make a plan, Britain began to prepare the attack on the West. They started with Operations Roundup and Sledgehammer, which held the ideal that it was Germany that needed to be taken down first. They made these plans as a backup in case Russia collapsed or Germany suddenly weakened. Operation Roundup was adopted, but Operation Torch took over. Operation Torch was a landing in North Africa in an amphibious war. These battles and skirmishes set up the eventual Operation Overlord. After these several skirmishes, Lieutenant General Frederick Morgan made a plan called Operation Overlord, invading Normandy. They would be sending down 2 brigades to be airdropped and 11 divisions to land in the first 2 weeks. Then, when a foothold was established, they would send a force of 100 divisions, mainly US, for a final assault on Germany. Hitler knew he would be attacked at the coast somewhere and appointed Erwin Rommel, also known as the Desert Fox, as inspector of coastal defense. The Allies sent air bombings to break bridges and rails, as well as road networks and German airfields. The Allies declared air superiority. The air campaign was designed as a deception, as two-thirds of the bombings were outside the invasion site to persuade the enemy the attack was somewhere northeast of the Seine. The Allies were also able to clear and decrypt German transmissions to know when the invasion was clear to go. They tapped into other German communications and used Operation Bodyguard to mess with them even more. Operation Bodyguard was a successful plan where the Allies' electronic and visual misinformation to lead Germany into further thinking the attack was near the Seine and not on the beaches of Normandy. Despite all of the deception and scrambling with Nazi Germany, they were still slightly prepared, and Hitler had an idea of what might be going on, which is why he sent Commander Rommel to lead the defenses over there. May of 1944 was the designated time for the attack, but difficulties in assembly postponed it to June 5th. Soon, horrible weather set in hurting landing conditions, but they still sent 3,000 landing crafts and 2,500 other ships with 500 naval vessels. Landing was not exactly a success as many troops drowned due to the storm. Many people landing at the shore were met by machine guns with 2,000 casualties, and defeat seemed close. By the end of the day, about 156,000 troops successfully landed on the beaches and set base. In less than a week, the beaches were fully secured with 326,000 troops and over 150,000 pieces of equipment and vehicles. Germans suffered immensely during this attack because of the confusion of power. The leading commander, Commander Rommel, was away. Hitler also believed the attack was a distraction and sent more troops towards the Seine River. Thus, German reinforcements were shipped later, with less and from fewer away. The Germans also couldn't move more reinforcements because the airstrike the Allies sent destroyed so many bridges. In the ensuing weeks, the Allies fought across the Normandy countryside through the German resistance and dense landscape. They seized the vital port of Cherbourg and sent in another 850,000 men and 150,000 vehicles. With this landing and their final push of the attack, they were prepared to storm the Western Front. They pushed all the way to the Seine River in Paris and liberated the Germans, effectively concluding the Battle of Normandy. The battle took immense resources, and here are some fun facts. There were 156,000 Allied troops, 5,000 ships and landing crafts, 50,000 vehicles, and 11,000 planes. The Allied troops had 10,000 casualties, while the Axis troops only had around 4 to 9,000. While the casualties seem relatively the same, the manpower differed. The United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Norway, and Free France all attacked Germany on the beach, thus making it a 5 to 1 ratio. As we conclude our journey through the monumental events of D Day, we are reminded of the immense sacrifice, courage, and resilience displayed by the men and women who participated in the historic invasion. Their unwavering determination and unity in the face of adversity forever changed the course of World War II and shaped the world we live in today. D Day stands as a modern precedent to the power of human spirit and the triumph of democracy over tyranny. It was a turning point that marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany and the liberation of Europe from the grip of fascism. The invasion of Normandy was not just a military operation, it was a symbol of hope, freedom, and the unbreakable bond between nations united in a common cause against evil. The Allied forces, comprised of Americans, British, Canadians, and soldiers from many other nations, embarked on a perilous mission to secure a beachhead in Normandy. They faced a formidable enemy determined to defend their occupied territory at all costs. Yet, through meticulous planning, unparalleled bravery, and a shared belief in the values they fought for, the Allied troops achieved the impossible. On the blood soaked beaches of Omaha, Utah, Gold, Juno, and Sword, countless acts of heroism unfolded. Soldiers waded through icy waters, stormed fortified positions, and fought valiantly against overwhelming odds. Many paid the ultimate price, sacrificing their lives for the freedom of others. Their names may be engraved on memorials, but their memory lives on in the hearts of all who cherish liberty. D Day was not only won on the beaches, but also in the skies above. The heroic efforts of the Allied pilots and crews, who braved enemy fire and provided crucial air support, played a pivotal role in the success of the invasion. Their courage and skill ensured that the ground troops had the best possible chance of victory. But let us not forget the unsung heroes of D Day, the French resistance fighters and the civilians who risked everything to aid the Allied cause. They provided invaluable intelligence, sabotaged German operations, and offered sanctuary to downed airmen. Their unwavering support and unwavering courage bolstered the spirit of the invading forces and exemplified the indomitable human spirit. D Day was a defining moment in history, not only for the military strategies employed, but for the collective will of people from around the world who stood up against tyranny and oppression. It serves as a reminder that the pursuit of freedom and justice requires sacrifice and unity. As we reflect on the legacy of D Day, we must carry forward the lessons it teaches us. We must remember the human capacity for bravery, selflessness, and resilience. We must honor the memory of those who fought and fell on the beaches of Normandy by safeguarding the values they held dear. With all said and done, D Day reminds us that even in the face of unimaginable challenges, ordinary individuals can rise to extraordinary heights. May the memory of D Day forever inspire us to strive for a world where freedom, justice, and peace prevail.